So today we will see basically OOPS concept, that is object oriented programming in Python. Okay. So in Python, uh, so mainly there are two things. One is class and then object. Okay. So class is basically a blueprint of an object, and object is basically actual thing. Okay. So if I take some example, so let's say if I make one car design of car. Okay. Design of car means, let's say its length. Okay. Engine, what type of engine it having. Then doors, airbags. So when we design a car, so let's say these are some parameter that we are when we designing the car. So these are the basically the blueprint or some features of that car. Okay. So now let's say this feature I implemented in some. So this is a blueprint. Okay. Blueprint you can say, or you can also say design. Okay. Now once you implemented that thing, then it will become an object. For example, if you implement this thing and let's say if you get Tata car, okay, Tata Nexon, so that will be called it as a object. Similarly, you can create Maruti Vitara, let's say, that is also an object. So the difference between class and object is that class is a blueprint and object is a actual implementation of that thing. Okay. Now in Python, uh, if you have to define any class, create any class, okay, so simply you can write class, then class name, let's say car. Class car. So when you create any object, the first when you create any class name, the first letter should be capital. Okay. So it should be capital. That is a standard uh, uses, means standard naming. When you create any class, the first letter should be capital. Okay. Let's see with some example. Okay. So here, if you see, I have created one simple class. So that is called, I've created one class called student. Okay. And so like in function, how we start? We start with def, then function name. Similarly in class, we have to start with class, then that class name and the code that you write. Okay. Now the next thing that we do is in when we create a class. So let's say class car, let's say. Okay. And then we define basically there is a one thing called constructor. Okay, init then underscore self, then let's say color engine engine, then types. Okay, and then save dot color. Types. Okay, so let's see this example. So here we have defined one class name called car, and this is constructor. I will go in more detail. First, simply see it. Okay, so let's run this. And what I have done, I want to call this. So this is a class. Now I want to make it as a object. So this is basically an object. So if I run this, well, it's okay. It should be, yeah. So this Tata is object and this is class. So this is a blueprint and this is when we have actual thing. Okay. So if I have to, let's say, access its values. So for example, let's say if I have to access color. Okay. So it print blue. Okay. Then similarly, anything you can access simply by pressing Tata dot uh, engine. Okay, yeah. So this is a EV. Now, see, this is a blueprint, and from this blueprint, you can create any number of object. Any number of object means this is you have created one object for Tata. Similarly, you can create one object for Maruti. Okay, Maruti, and same blueprint you can use, and simply you can write, let's say, green. Okay, and maybe 800, and then here you can write diesel. Okay, now here you have similarly Maruti dot color. Okay, yeah. So this Maruti is object, Tata is object. Okay, so you can, from one blueprint you can create any number of object. Okay, so this is a class. So class is blueprint, and this, when you fill some value or input some value, and when you call this class, so that become object. So object is actual implementation. So again, if I give some other example, let's say if you have created some design or architecture of a building. Okay, okay, this have this many rooms, and let's say if you create one design for, let's say, 12 floor building. Okay, and you have given that design to 12 different people from 12 different location. So let's say one people using in Hyderabad, one is Bangalore, Pune. Similarly, let's say 12 different cities. Okay, so the design is same, the people can change its color. Okay, uh, so the design is basically class, and when that building get actually uh, implemented or created, so that we called it as a object. Okay, so first you should know the difference between the class and object. So uh, this is very simple, like class is just a blueprint and object is actual implementation of that blueprint. Okay, actual implementation of that thing uh, is a object. Okay, again if I give one more thing, so it is basically a object will be, we can say, class plus data. Class plus data, that is object. If you see here again, so in this class there is a no data, means we are not passing anything, right? We is just defining the variable and we are not passing anything. Here when we pass the value, so it is basically this consists of class plus some value. Okay, so that we called it as a object. Any doubt till this point?
So basically, it is like class is a generalized form and object is a specific.
I said class is a blueprint and
Yeah,
object
it's
is a
generalized.
just actual implementation. Okay, yeah.
Okay, sir.
Huh. Because many people get confusion while seeing the definition, so I want to make it simple, not going much deeper. It will again it will create confusion when we see the definition again and again. Okay, so simply remember, so class is a blueprint and object is actual implementation of that blueprint. Okay, yeah. Now let's break it down. So this dev init. Okay, so this is basically a constructor. This is basically a, means this is a special method. Special method means a special function. Method we means just, so you know function, right? So how it start? If you create any function, def, then function name, and then input, then some code. Okay, okay. So inside class, we call this function as a method. Method. Okay, same thing, only we call it we pronounce it by method. Okay, so these are both are same. Okay, yeah. So this def underscore init, let's see, come here. So this def underscore underscore init underscore underscore, then self, then let's say if I write age and name, let's say if I create some other instance. Okay, so when any function started with def underscore underscore init underscore underscore, so this we called it as a constructor. Okay, this we called it as a constructor. So constructor first variable will always be self. This first variable should always be self. Okay, you can use some other name, but that name means instead of self you can use some other name as well. Okay, okay, now so self is a first variable of this constructor should always be self. Okay, now the next is self dot age. Let's say there are two variables, so simply you have to write self dot age equal to age, self dot name equal to name. So age and name we want user to input. Okay, let's say when you create any object, you at that time you want to pass some value, so this value up you can write after self. Okay, yeah. So what is constructor?
Sir, one doubt.
Uh-huh.
So this self is it is you just meant that first I mean if we are in starting if we are writing self, then we have to define this all age name etc by self dot. Suppose if I replace self with another something other, for example I am writing here WHO. So
Mhm.
for other things like WHO dot age, WHO dot name, like that type, right?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
No. Yeah. So when this method is called as a constructor. So the constructor rule means when when you call a function, first thing it will run constructor. Constructor always. Okay. So when you call a function, it will always run this constructor first. Okay. So the role of constructor purpose is to fill the form with user input. Okay, see again let's see, run this, and let's say if I have some created some object called food. Okay, and let's say car is the class, and if I write color, let's say red. Okay, red and 1500, and let's say type is a diesel. Okay, so when we define a class, okay, when we have created a class of car, so it created color. Okay, then engine, and then type. Okay, it created these three variable. Okay, but these three variable was empty, means it doesn't have anything. No value was inside it. Okay, so this is like a empty form. Empty form. Okay, now when you create an object, when you create an object, let's say we have created Ford and that car, and we have red, then 1500, and then diesel, right? So when we create a class, sorry, object, so this is basically a object. Okay, so constructor, when we call this class car, okay, so constructor fill this form, color, engine, type with this value. Okay, so when we create an object, so constructor will basically fill these values into that empty form. Okay, so it will fill color with red, engine with 1500, and type with diesel. So this is the basically role of constructor. Okay, so it is like filling a empty form. So it is like you have, when you create a class, you create certain template. Okay, this template, and to filling that template, constructor will help to fill that template when you create an object. Okay, yeah. Also inside, let's say if you write self dot color, okay, equal to color, and self dot uh, engine equal to engine, and self dot type equal to type. So these are called as a uh, instance attributes. Okay, these are called as a instance attribute. This self dot name, age, grade, self dot name, self dot age, self dot grade. So these are called as a instance attribute or instance variable. Okay, yeah. Till this point, any doubt? Okay. So again,
Sir,
if
one
you
question.
uh-huh.
This class is a type of function only.
No,
I mean, I mean to say, what is class is basically a function or a complex form of function or a method to recall function.
if the class is a type, means
I
inside a
mean, type of
class you, hello.
yes, sir, I mean type of class. For example, if we write type of 1.20, we'll get float. If we type, I mean, if we write type of any function, then we'll get function. Then what is the type of class?
Inside
Itself is
Python,
class.
everything is a object. Always
Yes,
remember. Okay.
yes, yes.
Uh, yeah. In this, you have any doubt or anyone till this point? So see, the advantage of using class. When you write a complex program, there it basically make the thing more organized. Okay. So when you have a means, let's say if you have write 50, 20 or 50, 100 line of code, at that time the class may not have that much importance. But when you create a means very big project, okay, so there to organize the thing, it will be very difficult if you use a class, I mean simple functions. Okay, so there we use a basically a class. So if you see any repo in the sense any GitHub repo, let's say someone who has created some repo using for LLM or maybe some other project website creation or using Python, and that website is huge, and if they share their code, so that code, if you break it down, you always see there will be a use of class. Okay, so when your project is very big, okay, or means 10,000 or more than 10,000 line of code, or there are multiple functionality to that, there you basically use a class and objects. Okay, yeah. So this is basically a class. Inside a class, so the first thing we mainly define is a constructor. So constructor is nothing but you can assume it as a class. Means if you have to create any object, and in that object if you want to pass any value, so for that these are basically constructor we create. Okay, now there is a uh, thing called class method as well. Okay, uh, again let's first run this. So let's say this is one of the example, like student is a class, and I have created three values: name, age, and grade. Okay, let's see. Uh, so let's see, this is the blueprint of that student class. Okay, now if I have to create some object, let's say Ritesh. Okay, and student name is, let's say, Ritesh 16, and okay, let's say if I pass in blueprint, I have given three input, right? Name, age, and grade. Self age always be, means that is not a input thing, but any program or any special method constructor will always start from self. You can write any name, let's say my. Then here also you have to write my dot name, my dot age, my dot grade. Okay, my dot grade. So that is also fine, it will run. Okay, and let's say grade equal to A. So that is also fine, it should run. Let's say if I have to access the instance variable, so it is dot name, say. So here in this only I have written print, if new student name has been registered, and then I pass. Okay, Ritesh. Can so Ritesh dot name. So if you have to access the this variable, so simply you can write Ritesh dot name. Okay. So here instead of self I have used my. So you can use any name. Okay, that's not an issue, but that should start with, means before any these three are variable that we are passing, but before that there should be some name. Okay, and through that name only, means like my dot name equal to name, my dot age equal to age, my dot grade equal to grade. Okay, yeah. Now let's see if I do not pass three variable. Okay, means here three variable are required for this class, but I have just passes two variable. Okay, so what happened? So it says student init missing one required positional argument, grade. See, it telling this is the variable that are missing. Okay, so when you see any such type of error, it means you have not passes all the values that are required to run this constructor. Okay, so to run this constructor you require three values. Now if you run, so it will run. Okay, now so this is, I'm making some changes to this class. So this is basically a constructor. After that, let's say if I create one method. Then student. So if any, let's say function name get long, so always break it using underscore. Okay. And here also the first word should always be self. Okay. Self, then any other information if you want to set, that also you can set. So let's say I'm giving just self. Okay, so this self will basically help to access. Okay, so here my was there, right? So here also you need to write. Okay, so let's say here I want to print string. Let's say if I have to print some, so this is my dot name. Okay, and my age is again my dot age. Okay, so these are called class method. So this is the first one is a class constructor, second is class method. Okay, class method. And let's say here if I write city and I am located in city. Okay, I'm just changing this my to self. Or okay, next time I will change. Okay, first let's, so this is basically the first one is to basically class, means when any user want to uh, run this class, so these are the variable that is required, name, age, grade. Okay, and this is the class functionality. Okay, let's say if you want to add some functionality to this student class, then you can create method inside that class. Okay, so this class method will always start from this my. Okay, and then the variable that is required. Okay, let's run this, and let's see if I have to create some object. So maybe Rahul size. So Rahul, sorry, the class name is student. Then what are the thing required? Rahul, then 24, then A. Yeah. Okay. Okay. For now, just let's create a new copy. Or maybe I can write and okay. So this is the student class that I made, and there are two method or two function you can say. So student information 1 and student information 2. Okay. So let's run this. Okay. Now to access the variable of this class, what should I write? Class object dot means, so Rahul is an object, and inside that if I have to access the age, then simply I can write Rahul dot age. Let's say if I have to access Rahul dot means earlier, to access the variable, simply I can write means I created an object, then Rahul dot age. Let's say if I have to access class method or class function, so let's say student dot information, student information. Okay. Yeah. So if you have to access the class function, then this is the bracket that is required. If you have to access the variable, then no bracket is required. Okay. So let's say here in age, we haven't put any bracket, but since this is a class, sorry, this is a function, student information. So we have to use this bracket. So if I see, so Rahul dot student information 1. So this is Rahul and my age, and I'm located in, we haven't put. Let's say second function, and I simply write Bangalore. Let's see what happens. Okay, this is a second. Yeah, see. So this is Rahul and my age is 24. I'm located in Bangalore. Here we have passes one variable. Okay. So when you call this function, so this variable is required. Okay. Okay. This method. Okay. So this is how you can access class method. Any doubt till this point?
So class method function is same only.
Yes, I already said na. So method are
Yeah.
inside class, the function name we called it as a method, but everything is same. Okay. Okay. One important thing that you should note is this student information means this will always start with my. If you have put here in constructor my, this should also start with my. Okay. And if you have to access this variable, then simply you can write my dot name, my dot age to access. You cannot write like name and age. Okay. This will throw error when you run. Okay. Let's try it. Here run this. Now let's run this one. See, name is not defined. Okay, so here this name and age, if you have to use this value that you have inputted while creating object, you can only call through this my dot name and my dot age. Okay, if you have to use this variable. Okay, if in in second example or second method, in last case I have simply used city. I haven't used my dot city because here this city is only accessible for this student information function. Okay, we are not passing while creating the object. See, the name is great. City is not while we creating the object. So to access the value while we create an object, you can always use my dot or self dot. Okay, but let's say in this you want some extra variable that is outside this constructor method, then you can call simply by city. Okay, yeah. So these are called instance variable. Okay, there is one more thing called class variable. First, let's say that you can see some more example, like here there is a class called phone. Okay, and inside that brand and model, this we are inputting means ask user to input. Okay, and some value we have already hard coded means we do not want user to input, we directly put that value in program. Okay, so battery level 100, cell dot is on false. Okay, now I have created my phone one object, and inside that this value I passes. So if you see, yeah, so this is also one of the examples. Okay, we have created two objects, car1, car2, and this is the blueprint. Okay, and this value we have fixed to cell dot speed equal to 0. So let's say if I have to basically run car dot speed, car dot car1 dot speed, say print 0. Okay, so this all this instance variable we can access through that. Yeah. Now yeah, so this is called means these are called as a class variable or class attributes. Okay, till now we have seen instance attribute or special method variable. Okay, now there are term called class variable. Class variable. Okay, so let's say if you create any new class, let's say student. Okay, and after that let's say name you have written name equal to this, let's say, and age you have also 24. Okay, so this before means if you create any variable outside the constructor. Okay, so let's say if you create any class and after that only you have created some variable, So these are called as a class variable. Class variable. Okay. So here if you see spaces and total docs equal to 0. So these are basically a class variable. Okay. And if you have to access the class variable inside a special uh, or inside constructor, for example, in this constructor we are passing only one value like name. So cell.name equal to name. But if you have to access these spaces and total docs inside this, so this can be accessed by the class name then variable name. So class is a dog, total docs plus equal to 1. So it will basically set doc to means total doc to new value. Earlier it was 0. Once this constructor will get called, so it will add 1. Okay. Let's run this first. So this is basically a blueprint. Now let's say dog one right and dog dot simply I have to write just name ABC. I don't know what. So okay, and after that I want to print dog one dot spaces or space. To access the class variable, uh, the same thing you can use dog one dot spaces. So it will tell the canis lupus. Okay, let's if I write dog one dot total dogs, what should be the value? Can anyone? It will be 1. Okay, so initially it was 0, but when we create an object, it will always run this constructor. It always first run constructor. Okay, so when it run constructor, it execute these two lines. Okay, so total docs initially was having value 0, but now it plus equal to 1. It means total docs equal to total docs plus 1. Okay, let's if I create one more instance, one more object, dbc. That's it. And again, if I run it, create object and dog to dot total. What should I get? See, the new value become 2. Okay, so the number of times you run this means class or number of times you use this class, its variable value will change. Okay, that, yeah. Yeah, so let's say if I create one class called calculator. Okay, and we are not passing anything. Okay, means we have defined constructor and the result is 0 that we define. Then there are 3 functions. Okay, 4 functions. So these are called class methods. Okay, so in add we simply write number, cell dot number, and cell dot result equal to plus equal to number. Okay, similarly subtract, clear, get result. So this is how we can create a function as we have already seen. Okay, so inside class we have write multiple functions. Okay, calculated dot add. Okay, Yeah, this is also one of the class like bank account. In that cell dot balance, then when deposit withdraw at that time how much. So let's create this one. Okay, from scratch. So idea is to create a, means let's say I want to create a system or class in which if user input anything, means initially it will have some balance. Okay, and then if it withdraw or deposit, then if I want to know the balance, it should reflect that balance. Okay, so simply if I write bank account, so this is the class I have made. Okay, and so I can create init underscore self internal balance. Okay, and balance equal to balance self dot balance. Okay, now I create some functionality like that withdraw uh, self comma amount. So when the person withdraw the money, so self dot balance will be minus equal to first it should check whether self dot balance should be greater than amount. So how much he want to withdraw, that balance should be greater than the amount. Okay, and if that is true, then self dot balance minus equal to, or maybe you can write in this way as well, balance minus amount. Okay, amount. Else, what we can print in sufficient balance, print okay. So this is when he withdraw. Similarly, we can create some more functionality, deposit. Okay, then self comma amount. You can put same thing because, but just for not creating any confusion, we can have different thing. Yeah. So self dot balance will be balance plus print the total amount is or the balance in your account is set dot balance. Okay, so this is the one class we have created, bank account, and we have added some features like withdraw and deposit. So when you withdraw the amount, okay, let's say here also if I print so when he withdraw at that time I want to print the balance also and what amount he deposited, that also I want to print. Okay, so let's again, and let's say Aditya and bank account is class. So what it need? Only balance. So initially how much balance? Let's say yes 10 lakh. 10 lakh balance in his account. Okay, and let's see Aditya dot balance. So he has around 1 lakh. Okay, now let's say Aditya dot withdraw, and for that we required one input. Okay, so let's say he withdraw 10,000 and again he withdraw 20,000. Okay, so let's run it. See, so initially when he withdraw 10,000, so initially it was 10 lakh, so it get 90,000, and then again we withdraw 20,000, then 70,000. Okay, and let's say he gets some emergency and he want to withdraw 80,000. Okay, so but in his account the balance is 70,000. Let's see what. So it print insufficient balance. Okay, now instead of he simply deposit, okay, 80,000 or let's say 180,000. See, earlier the balance was 70,000, then after 1,80,000 he added. So this is how, means let's say if you create a class, means class, this thing become very easy to create, means this functionality. If you do not use class, you have to write more number or the number or the total code length can increase, but this looks more organized, okay, when you create any class. Okay, so this is how you can if you see, this is a simple, means if we create any bank account, so it will reflect the amount you withdraw, so in background or in backend. So this logic means there are more to it, but yeah, so simple execution of the account statement that we see. Okay. Yeah. So this is about means when we create a class, how can we can use it. Okay. Yeah. Till this point, any doubt? Okay. So I'm giving one assignment. I'm printing it here in the chat window only. So I want to save the transactions happen. So create an one more function which do or which create account statement records. Okay. So account statement is like he has done like 10,000, 20,000. So this information should also be logged. Okay, logged in the sense this information should also be saved. Okay, so I want, okay, the balance is in your account is 90,000, the balance is in your account is 70,000, then 25,000 means 2 lakh means 1 lakh 80,000. This information should be stored somewhere, okay, in some variable. So in this, simply I want you people to create one more uh, function, def account statement. Okay, and then cell, and I want you people to do this. Okay, code. So code I have already said, means till this point, the code I have already said in chat. So try to give means try to complete this task. Okay, just try. Means it can be difficult as well, but try to solve it. See whether you able to get, means if user want to see the account statement, so all the past information uh, it should able to see it. Okay. Yeah. Any doubt till this point? Anyone?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Anyone? Okay. No doubt, no? Okay. Good. Yeah. So this is the means class. People say that is a complex topic, but if you properly follow it, it will be very easy. Means it is very easy, and it is a much organized way of writing a code. So if you write, let's say if in an interview, if they say anything, uh, if you write, means let's say they write, means they ask you to write, let's say 20-30 line of code, and there if you use a class, it will it will create a good impression. But most of the time, as I already said, 95% of the time they will not ask anything about class. Okay, but when you write a program, or when you see anyone else program, or let's say in a company, uh, most of the time people work on big project in the sense there are multiple features to some product if you are creating, all. So there most of the time the code are written in class format. Okay, so if you know these things, so you can easily understand what this code is doing. Okay, so for understanding also, this is mainly useful for understanding. And if you love, you can create your program through class. Okay, there are many more things to it, so that we will see in the next class. But yeah, so this is the starting of the class or object. So as I already said, class is a basically a blueprint, and object is a actual implementation of that blueprint. So again, class can be formula and object can be implementing that formula to create something. Okay, yeah. And also what we have seen, class, just a minute. Class variable
Yes, sir.
means instance variable. So if you create any class, so the first thing you have to create this constructor. So this constructor is basically the value, means when a person create an object. For example, this my phone he has created, so he want to pass some value, right? iPhone or 15 Pro. So to passing that value, we need to create a constructor. Okay, and method are basically a, you have create some class, and inside that if you want to add some functionality, some, like in bank account we have seen withdraw and uh, withdraw and um, add balance, okay, or deposit. So that are two functionality, withdraw and deposit. So these are basically class methods. Yeah. Tell Adit.
Uh, yeah, the repo you have shared are, I mean, these codes and all are in that repo. I mean, for revision purpose.
So the previous till the means last class, all things are there in, means I've already post that to GitHub. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
this class today I will post. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So basically in interviews, like I have same
Mhm.
faced some interviews regarding Python. They will
Mhm.
always ask what is the difference between class instance and method instance, like that. Like what is the difference? They are all always the same question only will coming. Like what is the difference between instance, like class attributes and method attributes, like that.
Okay. So uh, uh, have your doubt get cleared, or means still you have?
It's just I got cleared. I got cleared. Yeah.
Okay. So just for revision or just for other also. So this instance variable, these are called instance variable. Okay. So this instance variable can be accessed inside a methods, or let's say um the banking thing that we have created. Okay. See, so self dot balance. Okay. So this is basically a instance variable, or means this method we the special method that start with init, that we called it as a constructor. So this variable can be accessed inside these functions, right? But the function variable like amount and deposit amount, this cannot be accessed outside these functions. For example, if I have to, means here I cannot use this variable amount, okay, because this is a means this is a method variable amount. Okay, this is a method variable. Okay, yeah, good. Anything else? If you understand class, okay, class, object, method, instance variable, uh, you can, means 50% of Gen AI will get complete. Means you can easily gather the other information, or you will you will easily understand Gen AI. Okay, means GenAI programming. So yeah, so I haven't used much term, but if you see in internet, there are many other terms related to class object. So try to make it simple and few definition only, like class is a blueprint and object is a actual implementation of that blueprint. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So try to add that functionality like bank statement in uh, bank account class. Code I have already shared in chat. You can copy and try to add that functionality to that class method or class bank account. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then anything else or we can stop. Okay. Okay, then that's it for today's class. I'm stopping the recording.